What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here with Cheesehead TV, live on our YouTube channel. It's Thursday afternoon. The Packers getting ready for that Monday night showdown against the San Francisco 49ers, as we always do. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we like to come to you live and talk about what's up, talk about what the Packers are up to, see what's going on, and see what's on your minds. Good afternoon, Matt. People checking into the comments. Good to see you all. Do you think there's a locker room split between Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers? I don't know about all that. I think not too much has changed. People want to make this into a Aaron Rodgers versus Mike McCarthy thing, but I don't think anything has changed in regards to the dynamic in the locker room. Everybody knows they've been there before. A couple of years ago, they were 4-6. The outside world was talking about how things were falling apart, but they most certainly weren't inside the locker room, and that's having spoken to people in the locker room that year. And I'm pretty sure the same thing holds true this year. Our perceptions of what's going on are always very different to what is actually happening inside a locker room. Any update on the injured Packer players? Ben, absolutely. Funnily enough, only two non-participants in today's practice. That would be Jimmy Graham and Aaron Rodgers. And we know both of them are going to play on Monday night. Surprisingly, both Randall Cobb and Geronimo Allison participated in practice. This was after McCarthy indicated earlier in the day that they would probably be in the rehab group. They did actually make appearances on the practice field, and you got to think that bodes well for the possibility of their playing on Monday night. Now, Geronimo Allison obviously is coming. He's out of the concussion protocol. He's still dealing with a hamstring injury, as is Randall Cobb, but having them both out there on the practice field, I mean, that's a good step. On the defensive side of the ball, Jair Alexander participated, as did Sean Breland, and as did Kevin King. So it sure looks like for the first time in a long time, the Packers could be at full strength in the defensive secondary, which obviously is something you like to see. Brazil checking in. What's up? What else we got here? What made the 2011 and 2014 offenses so dangerous? It's interesting. I think 2011, clearly, I mean, they were just in another world. I think their multiplicity and their ability to use all sorts of different personnel in all sorts of different ways really helped them. I think that's tripped them up a bit this year. The injuries obviously haven't helped, both to Rodgers and elsewhere. 2014, it's funny that I wouldn't categorize that offense as they were dangerous, but they weren't near the same level they were at in 2011. You'll remember that year, Rodgers got hurt late in the season, and they had to adjust some stuff. That was when they came up with a lot of the pistol stuff we see still to this day. But ultimately, it's execution. I've been saying it, and I know people are getting sick of it, but it's the truth. They just have to execute. Everything they want to do is there. It's there on tape. The design is fine. The scheme is fine. They just have to execute. And once they start doing that, you'll start to see them get into a rhythm. Because you start going, you start making a play here and there. It all just feeds into itself, and they get going. They got to stop the stupid penalties. Mike McCarthy talked about it today, and they got to stop with the turnovers. Those simple things will get this thing turned around into a better direction. Hello from Florida. What's up? I hope you're taking care of yourself down there, Daniel. Switzerland tuning in. What's up, Lucas? How do you think Tony Brown has looked so far? Actually, it's funny, Ernesto. I know most people are only going to remember him for the taunting penalty, which I thought was pretty ridiculous, but he's looked okay. He's a young kid. He's got a lot to learn, but he didn't look overwhelmed with his action there in Detroit. I think there's some promise there, definitely. Do you think the silos Mark Murphy mentioned had anything to do with Russ Ball's growing power at the end of TT's tenure? That's a really big question, Spencer. I'll give you the short answer, yes, I do. I think a big part of what Murphy was referencing when he talked about those silos that kept people from communicating, I think, Russ and Ted were very much operating kind of on their own. I think you could sense that in Mike McCarthy's frustration that he never really let out in public, but you definitely heard reports of it. You definitely heard about how he was growing weary of the way they were operating on the personnel side. So I definitely think that played into Murphy's decision to want to be involved more on the football side of things. Let's see. You should be able to go into Monday night fully healed. Well, as close to it as possible at this point. Let's just squeak through Monday, get to the bye week, and get our stuff together. I understand that sentiment, but you got to beat the 49ers. I mean, number one, there's no other goal than to beat the San Francisco 49ers on Monday night, and they should do so, I won't say handily, but this should be a get-right game. As we've just talked about, they are getting healthy. And the 49ers, you can't take anything away from any team in the NFL, but this is a team that Packers should beat at home on a national stage. What's up with Ha-Ha? Ha-Ha. I don't know what's up with Ha-Ha. I don't know. I mean, I spent the better part of my morning defending the guy from Packer fans who want to call him terrible. He's not terrible. He has lots of disappointing plays that he puts on tape, and lots of disappointing plays that people see. What no one talks about are if the defense is out there for 65 plays, there are probably 5 or 6 that you could point to and say, yes, he screwed up there, or that's not a good play. But the majority of the time, he is assignment sound, his responsibilities are there, and he's making the most of what he's asked to do. And what I was saying this morning is people glom on to the handful of plays that are negatives, and they make it so that's his entire game. All I was saying this morning was, people need to chill on this, he's a bad player kind of rhetoric, narrative, whatever you want to call it, that has kind of taken hold in the fandom. And I was trying to express that, apparently maybe not so well, because then Ha-Ha blocked me about an hour ago on Twitter. So I guess I shouldn't have come to his defense. McCarthy's comments on Josh Jones were pretty much indicative that Corey was dead on last night with his analysis. Yes, if you haven't seen Packer Transplants from last night, make sure you do. Corey Banky does do a great job of breaking it down. But yeah, I think McCarthy essentially, if you read between the lines there, said, shore up your own house, stop screwing up on special teams, stop screwing up probably in general as far as your assignments, and do what's asked of you and do it cleanly. And when he starts doing that, I think he'll earn some more playing time. So yeah. Players, do you think this is the reason for so many mental errors on game day? Mike McCarthy stated a few years ago that he uses practice film to correct errors instead of correcting them on the field because it disrupts the flow of practice. Do you think this is the reason for so many mental errors on game day? I do not. They've been doing it forever. And they used yesterday an entire day, is why they didn't practice in the classroom, to go over, cleaning up mental errors and things of that nature. No, I think these guys are paid professionals. The whole gig is taking the classroom work and putting it up on its feet. McCarthy's operated that way for a long time, and they've had a lot of really successful teams. So, yeah, no, I don't think so. Gary, you hate primetime games. Why? I love primetime games. Love it. What happened to back shoulder throws? They're nowhere to be found. Yeah, they tried that one to Jimmy Graham in the end zone, and whew, that was ugly. I don't think they have, it's not really the game for Devontae. That was Rodgers' really big connection with Jordy. And I know he had a big one for the winner down there in Dallas last year, but with Devontae, but that's never been their go-to move. And it sure seems like throughout the years that Devontae's been there, when they've tried he and Devontae to get on the page for the back shoulder, there's been some miscommunication there. But perhaps it's something that they will get to as the year goes on. We'll find out. Is this a case of Rodgers wanting to work outside the scheme and try to make his own magic and occasionally disappointing with sacks, fumbles, grounding? I don't think so. It's who he is. He has been so successful playing this way outside of the scheme. I don't think it's a conscious, I want to prove Mike wrong, or I want to, be lead dog, or whatever way you want to phrase it. It's just how he plays. He always has. That's the thing. Maybe he's getting older. He is hurt. He is playing through stuff. So that is definitely hindering him, and he's not able to get outside and make the magic happen like he used to. That's to be expected for a guy getting up there, the back nine of his career, as he said. But I don't think it's like a a conscious choice that he's saying, I'm going to do this just to spite Mike. I think that's how he's always played, and Mike has got the unenviable task of trying to rein him in a little bit, try to get him to play a little bit more within the scheme, because as the tape shows, the scheme is okay. There are guys open. Rodgers just has to start to hit them in rhythm. The top of his drop is where everything changes. If he can just get to the top of his drop, throw in rhythm, this offense will start to cook. And it's easy for me to say. I understand that. I'm watching there on Sundays here in the studio with a beer. Like, it's easy to say. It's a lot harder to do, especially when you've got a history of breaking contain and getting outside and making these big plays happen and throwing these throws that no one else could do. Like, I get all that. It just needs to be reined in a little bit, play within the scheme, things will start working. Woo, Aaron's hot. Aaron Harper, Aaron Jones should be the starter. Mike needs to get his head out of his butt. Only he didn't say butt. Well, here, look, we all agree, I think, as fans, most of us anyway, that, Aaron Jones is the most talented back in the backfield. There's no question about it. I think if I was coach, I'd ride him into the ground. I want my talent out on the field. And that is the frustration for me. I understand there are limitations to his games in his game in certain areas, notably the pass protection. He has had an error or two here or there. But look, to me, the upside there far outweighs the downside. If you can throw Aaron Rodgers out there with Aaron Jones and you say, okay, that Aaron's not as good as Jamal in pass protection. Aaron's going to take that into account. But look, every time the guy gets the ball in his hands, something positive happens. He is so far and away clearly the most talented player at the position. I would put him out there all the time. I know Mike isn't. And the only thing that's going to change that is not going to be public perception. It's not going to be fans wanting a change. It's going to be injury. That's been time immemorial. Packers history under Mike McCarthy will show you again and again and again. The only way guys get on that field, if it's in a rotational basis at whatever position, it's because injuries happen and he's forced to put those guys out there full time. Packers defense is top 5 in total defense so far. Thoughts? Ryan, they are number 4 last I saw in yardage. That's good. They're 18th in scoring. Now, some of that has been because the offense has put them in bad positions, but they need to do a better job defending the red zone. There's no doubt there. But yeah, number 4 in yardage, nothing to sneeze at. Now let's hope they can keep it up and get that, that scoring number up a little bit. Is there any decent pass rushers available via free agency or trade block? Not really. Anybody who's going to be worth anything is on a roster. And as far as trade, I know I've seen Dante Fowler thrown around. What's the kid out in Denver? I've seen his name thrown around. But I would be shocked if Gutekunst made any kind of move like that. At this point, as Norman Dale was fond of saying, this is your team. I saw those rookies standing next to Cobb. Whoa, those young men are large. Yeah, they're tall gentlemen. There's no doubt about that. And, Randall's on the diminutive side. But why is Rodgers not trusting anyone with 50-50 balls? Daniel, he hasn't except for Jimmy Graham. He's thrown a few to Jimmy Graham. And Graham came down with 1. Actually came down with 2 last week. And then, he's just not feeling it, I guess. Although I would say, there's the second down pass to Equanimeous St. Brown up the left sideline. I can kind of see what he was trying to do there, but that certainly looked like this kind of play where he knew he had a big, tall target, and he was wanting him to go up and get it. Maybe not a true 50-50 ball, but I think, a lot of that is down to the youth. And he's got to work into the trust factor, so to speak, with those guys. I think you'll see some of those come throughout the season as he gains their trust, or they gain his trust. But yeah, I don't think that's something he's going to do right out of the gate. What social media platform has the worst Packer fans? I don't know. I think there's great Packer fans everywhere. There's questionable Packer fans everywhere, but we're all Packer fans. That's all that matters. We need to re-sign HaHa. Woo, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole today. Do you think we can trade for Le'Veon Bell? Ashley, they could, but they're not going to. If the Packers have shown us anything throughout the years, they do not value the running back position to the point where they're going to make that kind of trade. Because look, they would have to give up significant draft capital, and then they would also have to turn around and hand him a big monster contract. And they're just not going to do that for a running back, especially after giving Aaron Rodgers the biggest contract ever in the history of the game. What did you do to Ha? I defended him. I literally spent all morning defending the guy and then got blocked. Can Raji play safety? Yeah, probably. Let's hope so, right? Does coach have authority to tell 12 to knock it off in a sense? Yeah, of course he does. He's the head coach. Now, he's never going to do that. But, yeah, of course he does. Has EQ outplayed MVS? Ooh, that's a little rich for my blood. I thought they both had a really good game in Detroit. And that's been St. Brown's real first kind of extended action. I thought they both showed real promise. But I think MVS has held his own. But I do think EQ played a really nice game. Put a lot of nice stuff on tape. Gary, screw the 50-50 balls. Throw to the guys who are open and move the chains. Gary, could not agree more. That throw to EQ is a perfect example. He's got two other options that are wide open. Just throw the ball, man. Move the chains. I'm with you. Can you tie in a Super Bowl? No. Daniel, no problem, man. Haven't heard Mike Daniels' name a lot this year. Opinion on how he has played? Yeah, that's a really good question. He has disappeared for stretches. And I think he's being asked to do some different things in Pettine's defense, and he's not playing as many snaps as we're used to. All of that said, yeah, he has not been the disruptive force you would hope he would be. And I don't think that's being unkind. I don't think that's being unfair. He's been a bit disappointing. Now, he's also shown up big time against the run. As far as when they put him out on the edge, they didn't do a whole lot of that under Dom Capers, but he has looked great when he's been asked to bull rush off the edge, which is something new for him. But yeah, I would probably say I would like to see a little bit more disruption from him. But we'll see. We'll see how the year plays out. I can see checkdowns open all day. What do you think is the position matchup that they will be key for the Packers to win against the 49ers? Really good question, Ernesto. I think there is one guy who really scares the hell out of me on San Francisco squad, and that's George Kittle, their tight end. He's a rookie out of Iowa, and he is a baller. He's strong. He's great in the run game, but he's really crafty as a route runner. And I don't see who checks him in this game. Maybe they put Josh Jackson on him, a bigger corner, or maybe they try and use a linebacker or safety. I don't know, man, but he's a scary dude. As far as he's been productive with either quarterback, whether it was Jimmy G or now with Beathard. That to me is the one area they have to win. They have to shut him down. There are other guys that can get the job done, but he is the one real matchup problem that I see that the Packers have to contend with. Is their obsession with explosive plays causing some of their offensive woes? I would absolutely agree with that sentiment. I think that you've seen a lot of trying to push the ball downfield or waiting to try and push the ball downfield while things are open underneath. And I think, call a spade a spade. I think that's much more on Rodgers than it is McCarthy because there are plenty, like I just said, plenty of options underneath. So, but we've seen this before. We've seen it so many years where it starts like this. They've got all these kind of issues and problems, and they iron it out, and away they go. So we can only hope that happens starting Monday night. If the offense starts red hot in the next few games and the defense does well, holding teams to under 10 points a game, does all the Rodgers-McCarthy drama go away? Chris, 100%. Yes, of course. I'd love the defense to hold people 10 points or less. In this day and age, with the rules as they are, whew. Do they have a replacement if Martinez goes down? Not really. Maybe I guess Warren Burks would probably step in and do the job, but that would be a significant loss. Fire Aaron Jones and sign B.J. Raji for pass protection. I love you guys. Can't wait for some more Jair. I agree, and he practiced today, so it sure sounds like he should be good to go on Monday. But we'll see. You never know. Sometimes there are setbacks, whatever. We'll have to check back in tomorrow. And with that, I will bid you guys adieu. Thank you so much for joining me here live on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you always know what's up. Well, of course, this will be on Facebook after we're done here. We'll upload it there. Make sure you check the latest Packer Transplants with Tom Grossi. It was a ton of fun last night. If you haven't watched it, make sure you do that. Barring any breaking news tonight, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everyone.